Yud Aleph, Ois Yud Aleph, page Chagim. B'chol zeh, all of the above, who b'fchinas hakelim. That is true in the aspect of kelim. What is all of the above? The principle that there is a kind of a combination. On the one hand, it has an aspect of yesh meyayin, on account of its gvul, the fundament of its definition, which we discussed. At the same time, it is a lakus mamash. Since that it is, yes, it's a definitive thing, but it's a definitive thing totally representative of the lakus element. Why is there this union? Because there's a lakus, not because there is an extraneous place. Like we said, the difference between in our moshel. If I can take you back there for a moment. Like we said, a table is a defined entity, but in the room, in the dining room, with the human beings around, it does not really call attention to itself at all. Totally representative of what the environment is about. Take this same table out of context and put it outside, then it becomes a real mitzvah. This is what's called biyah, the created world. When you take the table outside of its context and you start studying it, just like the scientists study the world. How did the world make itself over here? It becomes a completely different entity. And it's all built on its mitzvahs rather than on some kind of on a godly truth. This is possible in Kelim. In what sense is it possible in Kelim? As we said, that the table, as it is inside the room and completely imbued with engulfed, united with the room, still there is an element. What is the element in Metzias? There's a limit and there's a definitive place, which means that it is possible to take it outside. Very fact that it's possible to take it outside already gives it a Metzias. This is why we say that the Kelim D'Atzilus, this is the Moged, this is the highest for Biyah. Biyah is a completely extraneous thing. We'll still revisit this as we go on. Aval ho'oides atzilus, but the oides of atzilus, harei hein b'bchinas gili ha'helem yenisav ha'ma'atzil. They actually are in a different category. That they are in the whole in of the oil is the gili ha'helem, to reveal that which is already contained in yenisav ha'ma'atzil. There is nothing novel represented in the oil. The principle of Gili HaHelam in Sama Matzil, I'd like to emphasize here. The primary difference between the Kelim and oil, even though we said Kelim is also a lakus, it is that the Kelim are separate from the source. What does separate from the source mean? That the Kelim function. They become util when there is an area outside of the source. To bring the principles of the source to an area outside of it, you need the keli. This is where the keli comes to acquires a presence. Therefore, it means that its presence, even though it's a lakus mamash and represents a lakus, nonetheless, its presence is there because there is an outside. But the Oiris Atzilus, they are bevchinas gilui ha'elam. Bevchinas gilui ha'elam means that's all they stand for. They are constantly pointing to their source, saying, "I'm here not because I'm here, not because there's a place where I need to represent something on the outside. It's gilui ha'elam because I'm here because there is the Ein Sof Hamatzi, the Ein Sof."
Before there's an outside, what's the status? Before there's an outside, what's the status?
I'm sorry?
Before there's an outside, what are the kalim? You said that they only become a real entity once they're outside once they're outside. Before that, they're called not existing, or no? Right.
Before they're not outside, we already discussed this. I don't want to go there for too long. I don't know if you remember our discussing of the principle of the Rishimo. You remember the Rishimo?
Some of what we discussed.
Some of it. Rishimo means a trace. When you have something written and then you erase it, so the message that was written is erased. You can't read it. But there's no way you can erase the fact that something was written here. A trace. That's a rishim. What the significance of this trace? It's completely erased. What does this tell you? Yes, something is written here, but now it's not written. So, what is that? What is the significance of this trace? Okay, I'm going to repeat this because I'd like you to understand. Think of it. You have a thought. When will be the time that you will not only have a thought, but you'll sit down and write it down?
I think it's important.
Oh. And you'll think that its importance is beyond the fact that you know it. There's an overall, there's a truth to it, there's an absolute element, presence to it. That's why it gets written down. If it is just a momentary experience, it's a nice experience. Now, okay, let's go on. Then you don't write it down. Write down when you sense that there is a profound reality to it, and it should not be lost. It should be recorded. Even if I forget it, I should be able to refer back to it. It's not valid for the moment. It's valid universally. This is Rishimo. So the Rishimo, and this is the source of the Keli. The Keli means that even though, what is the function of a Keli? That even though you're outside of the reality, the source, the oil is the oil is connected to the source, but now it's outside. Even on the outside, there is an element that should be recognized. Even outside. So the Keli is
outside, meaning sometime later when I might have forgotten it.
Right.
That's what outside means.
Right.
To carry over.
Outside means, right. sometime I was meant sometime later. What's the difference between sometime later and now? Now you are living it. So its value is because you're living it, not because it's true. You're experiencing it intellectually, emotionally. So it's valuable. Outside means that it is valid even when you're not fully experiencing it. Yes, sir.
In this explanation, the kalim were useful to take it outside, to capture and to export, communicate the content to the outside. But
Wait, no. The kalim also provide for the outside. In other words, kalim da'atzilus provide for biyah, but that's not what kalim da'atzilus are about.
Provide for the source of it, makor for worlds of biyah. These lower worlds are created.
No, but that's not. This is not why they are there. They are there because they represent the truth of Atzilus itself.
Fine.
If you have a thought and you make a note in your own personal little booklet, never intended to show it to anybody.
Okay. Yeah, but that's like a personal reference point, so you can come back to it, and that's where we.
Why do you want to come back to it?
Because at the moment of writing, you're inside it, so you want to perhaps reconnect to it or get back to it.
It's true, but I want you to get the real nakud over here. You want to get back to it not because it's a feel good.
It's of inherent value, and you want to.
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
It's a difference between it's a feel good. I want to re-experience this. That's not what we're talking about.
Okay. It's a signpost, right? It's okay. But my question is more like, by the Nemshal, these lower worlds are actually created from the Kalim. There is no outside until. By the example here, I write it down.
There is Kalim in Atzilus.
Yes, but there's no outside at this point.
No, there is no outside. But the Kalim in Atzilus are making a statement.
Yeah.
That this which is taking place in Atzilus is valid not only because it is within Atzilus.
But if there was to be some kind of outside area,
that's right. It would still be valid.
And then they go on.
That's what Rishima is about.
Right, but then they themselves are the ones that go on to kind of create this outside.
The fact that they go outside is not by their own choice, because there is the aim of the Creator that they should go outside.
That they should so that there should be.
This is not the whole. This is not defining their presence.
Okay, so it's a separate discussion, I guess. But the Creator wants that there's such a place as outside, and then these kalim are going to be the source of that, and they're going to communicate within that. Okay.
Outside comes out because of the Tzimtzum, not because of the Kalim, right?
Because what?
Because of the Tzimtzum, not the Kalim themselves, but the Tzimtzum. Okay.
We have no access. We have no way to reach to the principle. Why did God create the world?
Principle of why?
Yeah. What's in it? So in Kabbalah it says all kinds of different Lashonos, but the principle that which we refer to it is Kavonas Hamatzah. Kavonas means the intent, not Tam, the reason, because there is no reason.
Intent deeper than reason.
That's right. for the sake of easing our thinking process. It says, Chassidus explains, that a melech, by nature, a melech, by definition, is totally remote from the people. He is head and shoulder above them. The principle of head and shoulder above, that's an expression, is not only is his head above, but his whole mitzias is above. His shoulder. Shoulder is just his body. He's not in the same realm. Therefore, why would the Melech accept to be a Melech? And the fact is, he accepts it, and Rosh Hashanah is coming. And every Rosh Hashanah we are hopeful that the Rebbe will accept our request that he should be a king. Somehow, within the king itself there is that element that yes, he accepts to be king. But in order that he should accept to be king, since we're coming to Rosh Hashanah, it's important to understand, in order he should accept to be king, his entire reign, the king is not going to be king reigning over something that's external to him. Everything is completely dedicated to him, and that's when he accepts to be king. This is the principle in the deepest elements of the reality of the king.
He has a sense of how everything this nation, these people are dedicated, are sort of coming to be within him. That this is why he's no longer remote. Now he's reigning over them.
Mm-hmm. A king is not remote. In fact, the king is part of the people. The people are part of the king.
Oh, so we started out with his head and shoulders, but he's totally remote. But then we come to he's part of. Okay.
The media of Malchus is a phenomenal thing. Okay, so it was a little bit of a deviation. Okay. So the Oides Atzilus in Bechinas Gilui HaHelem in Sof HaMatzil. They are Bechinas Gilui HaHelem, means that they do not, even in their fullest glory and fullest expression, they are not representing something of themselves. They are representing the Oir Ein Sof. What does Oir Ein Sof mean? Let me discuss this for a moment, because Oir Ein Sof is also sets our thinking process asunder. Infinite light. What is Oir Ein Sof mean? So we'll take a very simple illustration of the concept. Again, it's not novel to us. We say that Odom shein lebayis ein hayod, that a home and the human being is one thing. By definition, a human being has a home. This Indian that he has a home, we have to understand the following. Who is contributing to whom? Is the home contributing to the person, or the person contributing to the home? You follow what I'm saying?
Is it both?
Both. But we have to understand how it is both.
What do you mean by contributing in this context?
It means this. You enter your home and you protect it against against rain. In that case, who is contributing to whom? Say it.
Oh, the home contributes to me.
The home contributes. I need a home because otherwise I'll be exposed to the elements. Is that what a home is?
Home screen.
So when the human being acquires a home and he enters the home, what happens now? He is now protected, or the home is enhanced by his presence?
So it's the man that gives to the home. The man gives to the home because he gives reality, everything in the home that it's the purpose.
That's right. The man is contributing. The home is illuminated by his presence. Let's understand what kind of illumination this is. Prior to a person entering the home, if it was built by a smart architect, it has all kinds of structures, all kinds of forms. Like you said, there is a dining room, a living room, and a bedroom, and a library, and a study room. All kinds of different things that are suitable for human function. Prior to him entering this home, these are kalim without oir. These are lifeless walls. Who needs them? At best, you need to protect against the rain. You have the roof. That's all you need. But all these different denominations, the whole configuration of the home, what for? When he enters the home, everything comes to life. Every last detail of the home acquires its full-fledged meaning. Why? Because this is a human being. What is the function of a human being? Define. Everything in the world is his function. Is there anything that is complete, is outside of his platform? In the world, there's not. He has to build, he has to destroy. Everything. All possibilities in the world are all emanations of the human being. In this minor context, we can call the human being brings out oir ein sof, an unlimited oir, undefined oir, and it's all real. Human being is not ein sof, but within the worldly context, this is an oir ein sof. Because when he comes into the home, there is no way that you can pin down and say, what does this mean that he is in the home? Is it the dining room, the living room, the bedroom, the bathroom? What is it? So when you go into, continue with this motion, you go into the library of the room. Oh, this is the library. What is the spirit behind the library? Public library? The library is there because there are books But the library is there because there's a human being living in this home. You follow what I'm saying? The library is an oyer of the human being, distinct from the oyer of a dining room. Or the bedroom, or the dining room. But it's all coming from the same source. The reason there's dining room is because this is a human dwelling. The bedroom because it's a human dwelling. A library because it's a human dwelling. So these individual oires, so to speak, principles that come to surface, that are illuminating this home, they are not distinct from the human being himself, from the totality of the human being. You have a beautiful library, and it has thousands of books, and they're good books. But there's no human being that's going to visit the library. Now it becomes a public library. It's no longer a living thing of a home. This is the pshat that the Oires Atzilus beginnen gile ha'hele me Oirin Soif. There's all kinds of Oires. All the Oires are megala, that which is contained in the essence of Oirin Soif. Hamatzi. Now we continue further. We already discussed many of these inferences, so we can hopefully go through. Since that the zavusam, that the oil, the coming for the creation, the existence of the oil, the coming to existence of the oil from the kav, is b'chinas kiruv. Is in a kiruv manner. Now that we have this concept, in a kiruv manner means, yes, indeed, there is a function of learning, the function of eating, function of sleeping, but it's all representative, all connecting to the human being. These are not independent functions. When you walk, what would be the correct way of referring to it? You are walking or your feet are walking? Right? You're walking, but you're walking with your feet. The feet will walk because I walk. We explained many times lately. If you have to walk within your own home, it could be 100 feet, you have a big home. It's a completely different effort than to walk 1 block outside. Back outside, you're outside. You can't really surmise the whole thing. You're just forcing your feet to move along. In the home, you have the completely embrace the entire environment. The feet walk automatically because I want to be there, so I suddenly walk. This is what they don't become in separate entities. Shaharei. Again, the Rebbe continues. Shaharei. Since that, ha'oir kosher v'dovug b'inus of hamatzil, the oil is bound with the oil in soif hamatzil. With the oil in soif that brings it forth. Kishal hebes hakshura begacheles. Like the flame, which we discussed last time, the flame that is bound with the coal. This is a muscle in Kabbalah. It's an extremely physical muscle, and the value of this physical muscle is that it allows us to actually focus in and to understand what's happening in this gachela and the flame. The flame is actually a flickering flame. It's on the surface of the gachelas. What is the gachelas? How come there's a flame in the gachelas? Because gachelas is a fire through and through. There's a simmering fire in the gachelas. Everybody knows what gachelas is actually a piece of fuel that burns it's completely quiet, you can't even see it, but it's real fire. Because in the gachelas, the fuel itself is burning. It's not a show of fire, this is a real fire. The flame, typically, when you blow the flame will typically simmer, quieten down. But the gachelas can go on burning for days, for hours. Depending on how potent the gachelas is, it can go for a very long time. This is why when in the firefighting, when there's a fire at once, a fire, so they throw water on it, and you say, "Oh, there's no more fire." You have to check every last little crevice. It could be a simmering fire, you don't even know it. And with a little breeze, poof, it shows itself. If that means it was created then by the breeze, no, it was simmering, it was there the whole time. This flame is enabled, gets its impetus from the internal fire of the gachelas. From the internal fire of the gachelas. And it exists because there is a gachelas, not because there's a flame. Although, in order to be a flame, it needs air, it needs space, it needs some oxygen, whatever it is, air. This is not what makes the fire. This only reveals the fire. But the fire is an internal force within the gachelas. And there's no way you can separate the fire, the flame, from the gachelas. The flame is pointing to the gachelas that it's held and that it's holding on to. Let's hold it. This is the significance of these words, that the oil is kosher b'eirin shel hamatzik. It's revealing what is, and it's bound with the eirin shel hamatzik. In our moshel, we understood that every human function, it could be a very clearly defined function, it is nonetheless bound up with the totality of the human being. The essence of the human being, with the rotzin and oineg of the human being. V'lochein, and thus, hein b'mchinas bli ma, that the oiros are called bli ma, because they have the quality The way to describe it is called blima. This is how it is referred to in Kabbalah, in Sefer Yetzirah. What is blima? What does blima means? Translate the word blima means without a what. You can't ask what kind of mitzias is it. Does it really exist on its own or not? It does not exist on its own. And yet, you could see it. Sholei bivchinas mahus u'mitzias meidos v'koichos, which means that their blima means that they do not have a definitive content of midas and koichos, although there are oiris. In our terms, in terms of our mashalim, which are a very low level, like we said before, you have a library in the home. What is the definition of this library? It's a library, or it is the human spirit of learning, or is it the human spirit? I mentioned to you one time, we used to have a guest many years ago, a man who he always used to boast of the fact that he and his brother were both born retarded. And then they broke through their retardation. They both overcame their shortcoming. He became a mathematician, and his brother became something else. So and he was by us like very every Shabbos, a long time. So he used to say, I don't buy books. You need a book, the library is always there. You always go to the library and borrow the book and read it and bring it back. What's the point of having the books? It's one of the specimens what it means, Rahman is not a retarded person. Functionally, he does everything. He can read books, he's very smart. He's a mathematician. There's no human being behind it. I told you, we had an experience one time. It was like by my in-laws. He came with us. Whenever we went, by my in-laws Shabbos, he was sitting, and he's sitting by a table and he's falling asleep. So I said, Shnei Zalman, you're tired. He says, no. Are you falling asleep? There's nothing going on. There's no gacheles, there's only a fire. There's no gacheles. Gacheles continues to simmer on. Doesn't fall asleep.
The notion about the book.
What?
What does it mean? A human being needs to have books and
Yeah, sure, needs to read books. Bayis Molis Forim is one of the Rebbe's Miftzayim.
He meant Sefer? He meant Sefer Kodesh?
What?
He meant Sefer Kodesh.
The Rebbe is talking about Sefer Kodesh. A human being, whatever his intellect encompasses, has to have it in actuality. Like we say, Rishima. It has to be written down. It has to be real. You see a home of a Rav without walls of Sforim?
The value of a book is that you can open it up and read it again. Not that you just read it and that's it.
True, but his argument is you can always borrow it again. If you read a reference, you can always get a reference. The book is in at that station, just like you have a dining room. I remember a description of a yeshiva going back a few years. I don't know which yeshiva it was. I mean, for one thing, my father of Shalom went to yeshiva. He says he came to yeshiva and said, "Okay, sit down and learn." No, now when you have to sleep, okay, lie down on the bench. The bench becomes a bed. Fold up your jacket, it becomes your headrest, and then in the yeshiva that I remember that they had what's called folding beds. The bed was attached to the wall, and it would fold down like a shelf. And it would fall down, and then you sit and learn. By not, you would lift up the shelf, and it had some kind of support, and that became your bed. There was no bedroom. Who needs a bed? You need a besmedrash. You need to sleep, so you have to go to a place to sleep. That's the way it is in yeshiva. In a home, it doesn't work. A home means that it expresses every aspect of the human being to the fullest. So there's a cheder amitos, there's a cheder eichel, there's everything. Everything has a cheder. The normal. Not if you're a refugee, but if you have a normal home, it's a normal home. So these oiros are blima, which means there is no definition what the oil stands for. What does the oil stand for? The oil stands for the reality of the oil itself. Like we said before, what is the ability of walking for a person? A living person. Walking is not a separate presence in the person. We discussed it many times. What is the mentality of walking? Because a person is by his own perception is everywhere, but then he has a body to transport the body to where everywhere he has to have feet to carry him. But in concept, in spirit, he's everywhere. This is the difference between robotic walking and a human walking. Robotic walking, the robot has the ability to move. Just exclusively that. Human being does not have an ability to move. He's a human being. Has the spirit of moving. That's what it's said by Yankim Avinu, I mentioned many times. Yankim Avinu, it says, Yisu Yaakov Raglo. Yaakov lifted his feet. Yaakov carried his feet, not his feet carried him. Similarly, the Kav of the Ein Sof, there too it has the quality of dveikus, of being attached. Attached here does not mean he is in fact attached, but this is what it stands for, the fact that it's attached. As it says in Eitz Chaim, and the kav noigeya means it touches and bound in Ein Sof. The principle of the kav we discussed Friday, the best I can recall. So now we'll refresh it. But even though the kav means the line, is also nimshach comes as a result of the tzimtzum. Yet still, harei hamshochose hu me'enesov shelifnei hatzimtzum. It is drawn from the Ein Sof that precedes the tzimtzum. Even though these are highfalutin points, I'd like if we should understand everything a little bit to the extent that we can understand it. We gave the moshel for the kav. I hope that we understood it then, or we still retain that perspective. It's like we have the sun, and then we build a wall that blocks the sunlight, and in the wall there are small openings, like windows. What is the difference between the light of the sun coming to the window and the light of the sun on the open space? The difference is, in our terminology, when the sun is in the open space, we say this is sunlight. Sunlight means it is there automatically because the sun is there. When the sunlight is blocked, you can't see the sun, but there is an opening, a window, a crack in the wall. Then you say the sun ray goes through this crack. Sun ray and sunlight is not the same thing. Sunlight is the sun. Sun ray is the effect of the sun, a limited effect of the sun. A ray. This is the principle of tzimtzum. Before the tzimtzum, there was Ein Sof. The Atmos, there was the sun. There was light, but this was not light. There was not a ray. This is the light because the atom is there. Then there is a tzimtzum. And as a result of the tzimtzum, there is a kav. A kav means that there is a thin line of light. But this is light. This is like a ray coming from there. It's called a kav.
You always said that the tzimtzum is in the or, not in the etzem.
In the oil. Yeah. That's what cannot be in tzimtzum. The tzimtzum was in the oil, but before that, this was oil represent completely one with the etzem. And now you have a representation of that oil. A ray.
So it's not the same oil, just in a line. It's a different kind of oil.
It's both. It's not the same, and it is the same. That's what he says like this. Hagam the hakav nimshach gam ken al dei hatzimtzum. The kav came also through the tzimtzum. Mekom Mokom still Harei Hamshochosi Hu Mehoer in Sof Shelifnei HaTzimtzum. There's a tzimtzum, but what is it represent? Where is it? Where is its origin? Its origin is in the Oyer in Sof that precedes it. In our motion, if I may, like we said, the light, the sunlight that protrudes through a wall, through the cracks in the wall, the openings in the wall, we don't call it sunlight, we call it a ray, because this is a subset of the light of the sun. The light of the sun has is in full control. It has its own domain. Like we say, Hashem the sun rules the world by day. There's not a place where it is not. That's sun. That light is fully representative of its source of the sun. Not that you block it off, you metzamtzem, and you don't have the source because you blocked off the source. What do you have? You have a subset of the light in the form of a ray that protrudes to a crack. Now, let's understand the difference. I speak about it many times. I'm taking you there, I hope you're with me. In sunlight, in daytime, you all understood this so many times, it's incorrect to say that it's daytime, therefore I can see across the street. Daytime means that there is no such thing as you don't see. There's no darkness. To see across the street is not an accomplishment of day. It's just eliminating the whole phenomenon of darkness. At night you can see, by day you could see. Not because you could see because there's a light shining the outside across the street, but because there's no darkness. The sun itself is here. When you have a ray has a definitive function. It's not eliminating darkness. It illuminates a certain spot. It's qualitatively completely different. It's a different definition of light.
The difference between the sun and the flashlight.
Right. So, because it's a different definition, so there, in that light, you can really identify what is the function of light. It makes you able to see across the street. So there you would say that there are qualities in there. There are midas. In that light, there would be a functional definitions. Midas v'koiches. You would think that they're midas v'koiches because it has a focus light. It's not representative of the Oirei Soif. It is not representative of the fact that, I said, there is no darkness. There is darkness, but you can illuminate the darkness. In that respect, so therefore, if you say it can illuminate darkness, means that everything that you can illuminate is a separate accomplishment. It illuminates this part, and that part. Not like sunlight that does not have different parts that it illuminates. And if it had different parts, that means that there's significance to each part that it illuminates. Midas and koiches. But there's chesed, gvura, tiferet, all different kind of different qualities. This is what it would seem to be bringing out as a result of the tzimtzum. I still have an audience here. So the Rebbe says, true, it comes out of the tzimtzum. However, mikomokim, הרי המשכו הוא מהאור הסוף שלפני הצמצום. His hamshocha is from the oir הסוף שלפני הצמצום, and therefore the oir is blima. It is not correct to say that the union of this oir is to illuminate certain spot, to bring out certain messages. Because in fact, it is an oil that it comes from the oil Lifnei HaTzimtzum, and therefore it still carries with it this limitlessness element of the oil. That's a little challenging now, right? But in our moshel, we can readily recognize and relate to it. What is the significance that it is a light that comes from the ocean Lifnei HaTzimtzum? Again, do I have an audience here? What is the significance of these? What are the oil light? It's light, and it goes to the tzimtzum. The fact that it's rooted, that it comes from the Lifnei HaTzimtzum, how does that affect this light? What's significant about it?
In other words, where do we see the unlimitless?
That's right. What is it? What's so significant about it?
What's the difference between the sun coming through the window and a flashlight?
Right. No, what's the difference?
Emanates everything.
Oh?
Emanates everything.
It points to the fact that there, I guess we know that there is such a thing.
It is reduced, but it has a limitless nature.
Qualities. Okay.
What,
Very good. I mean, we
while
are all
it's-
in mind. What's the difference? Yeah.
While it's illuminating, you see not because it's point that you see because it's day now. While it's
No, it's all very good. I want somebody to hit the nail on the head.
If it didn't come before the Simpson, if you just illuminate this cup, you see this is a cup. However, if it's of Lifnei HaTzimtzum, you realize this cup is part of the principle of Eibishter, truth. It's more than just a cup. It's part of this whole purpose of life.
How is that occur? Without the light, you wouldn't see the cup. We mentioned before the difference between sunlight and a flashlight. Okay, The difference between sunlight and a flashlight is that in case of sunlight, the light comes automatically. Nothing is creating the light per se. How come there's light? There's light. In a flashlight, it's the same limited light, but this is manufactured light. It does not alert to the fact that light is a reality. It is exclusively a manufactured light for this purpose. Sunlight, even a ray of sunlight, carries on this principle that this is light representative of light being a reality.
Of day.
Of day. Light being a reality.
Even though right now it's just.
This is extremely, I'm not finished.
Yeah.
Extremely important to understand. We do not have the capacity to conceptualize the reality of light. Because to us, in the world, what is the fundamental presence of the being of the world? Light or dark? Dark. So any light is automatically something, an add-on. The sunlight is a miraculous thing that the Rebbe created. Even though the sunlight is also combustion and so on, but really, as we said, the sunlight really represented the Oyer Shenivra B'Yom Rishon, which did not have a body, a fire behind it. It was pure light. We cannot conceptualize what that is. But that's what the Torah says. The Torah says, "Vayem Elokim Yehi Oyer Vahi Oyer." It's a godly light. It's a light carrying the truth, the godly truth of light. Sunlight is representative of that on a limited fashion so that the world will be able to tolerate it. That's a Perush nice. This carries on even when you have a ray of light. Still, we recognize that there's a different kind of a truth behind it than the fact that it is heat creating light.
So sunlight is a subset of the light from the first day.
That's right. But it is representative of it. And the reason that is true is the fact that this light is dovuk, is connected to its source. It is not a ray of light, it's a ray from the sun. And it carries on with it the fundamental truth of its source. This is what the Rebbe is saying over here. So we'll go back to this. It's a tzimtzum, but it's hamshochet meir isof shelifnei hatzimtzum. It is drawn from the Eir Ein Sof. Eir Ein Sof means there's no creation of light. It's Eir Ein Sof. And therefore, the Oyer HaKav, as limited as it is a godly light completely. Not a representative, it is a godly light. So now we have to have time to digest it. Vaye'er vayivoiker yemei. Have a great day.
Amen.